Ben. We're going to talk about the quadratic formula today. So previously you had quadratic equations that have been factorable. So for example, x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. We can factor this. We look for two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to negative 1. So x minus 4 and x plus 3. So the roots of this quadratic equation are x equals 4 and x equals negative 3. But what happens when we have a quadratic equation that's not factorable? Like x squared minus 2x plus 7 equals 0.
Okay, in this case, we can't think of any two numbers that multiply to 7, and those same two numbers add to negative 2, so that's why it's non-factorable. There's the quadratic formula that we're going to use to help us find the roots. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And what we're going to share with you now is a cute little video and song to help you remember the quadratic formula.
X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
We hope you enjoyed the song. Hopefully tomorrow in class we can get everyone to sing it together. So if you remember, a quadratic has the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So in this first example here, x squared minus 6x minus 40 equals 0. A is 1, b is negative 6, and c is negative 40. So we have the steps written out on the side for you to use the quadratic formula. So step 1 says write the equation in standard form. Well, that was already done for us. Step 2 says list the values for a, b, and c. That's what I just did. Step 3 says to write the quadratic formula. Well, it's already here in this box. We have it written out. Step 4 says substitute the values of a, b, and c into the quadratic formula. So let's do our substitutions. X equals negative b. Well, b is negative 6, so a negative 6 is really just a positive 6. So x equals 6 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so negative 6 squared. Be sure to put that negative 6 in parentheses, otherwise when you type it into your calculator, you'll get the wrong answer. So remember those parentheses. Negative 6 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, c, which is negative 40. All over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. So I just did step 4, I substituted a, b, and c into the quadratic formula. So now step 5 is to simplify our answer. So far I have x equals 6 plus or minus. Now I have this whole radical here. The easiest thing to do is to plug whatever is under the radical, so this negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 40, all into your calculator. And when I do that, I get 196. So right now I have x equals 6 plus or minus rad 196 over 2 times 1 is 2. So let's think about radical 196. What you should always do, just to make sure, is to see if whatever's under the radical is a perfect square. So radical 196, is that a perfect square? The way we can check that is just put that into your calculator. Square root 196. And it is a perfect square. It's 14. That means 14 squared is 196. So the square root of 196 is 14. So let's simplify further. X equals 6 plus or minus 14 over 2. So we know this is really two roots. X equals 6 plus 14 over 2, and x equals 6 minus 14 over 2. Okay, so the first one is x equals 20 over 2. And we know that that is 10. And the second one is x equals negative 8 over 2, which we know is negative 4. So the two roots of this are x equals 10 and x equals negative 4.
Okay, so I just wanted to go over our roots. We got x equals 10 and x equals negative 4. When you use the quadratic formula and you come up with your rational answers, it means that the original quadratic equation was actually factorable. So what I did here is I copied down the equation once again, and we're going to solve it using the factoring method. We have to think of two numbers, again, that add to negative 6, and those same two values multiply to negative 40. So we have x minus 10. We have x plus 4. To double check, negative 10 times 4 gives me negative 40. If I add them, negative 10 plus 4, I get negative 6. So our two roots are x equals 10 and x equals negative 4. So we just showed you two different methods that you could use, both by factoring as well as the quadratic formula. Now we're going to move on to example number 2. If you take a look, this one is actually not in standard form, so that's going to be my first step. I'm going to place this quadratic equation into standard form by setting it equal to 0. Step 1. List the values for a, b, and c. So in this case, we're giving you an example where the a value is actually greater than 1. It's 2. B is negative 4. And c is negative 5. Write the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals negative b. My b value is negative 4, so negative 4 is positive 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, again remembering that it's very important to put it in parentheses, minus 4 times my a value, sorry, running out of room, times my c value, which is negative 5, all over 2 times 2. From here, we're going to do some simplifying. So we get 4 plus or minus. You can take everything, just like we did in the last example, and place everything underneath the square root symbol in your calculator. Be careful of your parentheses. It's negative 4 squared in parentheses minus 4 times 2 times negative 4. Okay, when we take the time to do that, we find that the value is 56. So we have 4 plus or minus the square root of 56 over 2 times 2, which is 4. Oh, sorry, I have a little trouble here. Now with this question, it's a little bit different. I have 4 plus or minus. If we take a look, if you typed into your calculator the square root of 56, you're going to see that you're going to come up with a decimal. It's irrational. It's something that continues on. It's not a perfect square. So our job is to come up with two values that multiply to 56, one being the highest perfect square. Okay, if we take a look, we know that 4 times 14 will give us 56. So we're going to continue to simplify. It's 4 plus or minus. The square root of 4 is 2, rad 14, all over 4. Now the last step is to double check to see if it's completely simplified. The values that you're going to look at are the ones that are circled here, and you're going to see if they all have a common factor. 4, 2, and 4 are all divisible by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so you can write 1 the square root of 14 or just square root of 14. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now this is the simplest form for the roots. Now there's actually two roots here. One of the roots would be x equals 2 plus the value of the square root of 14 over 2. And the second root would be x equals 2 minus the square root of 14 all over 2. These are considered irrational roots because we have a radical with a non-perfect square value. So here are your two roots.
Okay, everyone, now I want you to try these on your own, and we'll go over them tomorrow in class. Bye!